Hello, good morning. Welcome to Politics Social with me, Graham Hughes. Welcome. Just having one of those mornings, I think. So some of my technical things aren't working. I don't know why. Things aren't coming up, but I'm going to have to literally use my phone. To access the data that I need to access in order to do the show today. So if I keep looking down and looking at the phone, I swear to you, I'm not playing Pokemon, okay? I'm looking at what next to say. Just first of all, a big shout out to Dears and Martin and Lost Missionary and Plumdorf and Sid and Andrew Ray and others in the chat. Witchy Goth is in there as well. Welcome. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button, wait for approximately 1 minute, and you'll be able to write things that will come on the screen, saying things like "Barida," says Mr. Tisk. Good morning. Good morning to all my Welsh viewers. How are you all doing this morning? I hope it's not too wet and woolly. It's rather wet here in Durham. Just got back from the school run. Thought sitting down here, 5 minutes to 9, all ready to go, and then I had technical bloody problems, didn't I? Anyway, so we're going to be talking today about Trump. Unfortunately, not too much about Trump, but kind of like what the consequences of what he has done to geopolitics around the world. So like he had a little tantrum. He had a little tantrum last night on his little Truth Social network. He wrote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America." That's what he wrote to President Xi of China for two reasons. One, he's a dickhead, and two, he's a fucking dickhead. He's like a proper dickhead. He's like a proper, oh my god, this guy. He's not all there. Do you know what I mean? He's not quite with it. He's just not. Anyway. So instead of behaving like a normal grown up, he's behaving like a toddler, throwing a tantrum, which he does quite a lot, with quite rampant regularity. So yeah, Trump sounds, he sounds to all intents and purposes like the fucking wedding planner for the axis of Asian authoritarian states. So Trump promised to make America great again. He had it written on a load of like millions of red caps. In my day, it used to be a red flag when you saw a man doing something that was a red flag. Now it's a red hat. It's just a red hat, isn't it? You just go, oh look, he's a red hat. And today is we're going to be talking about how Trump's incompetence and ego have literally shifted global power to the east. And we could be asking whether that's a bad thing, might not be a bad thing. So today, well, we just recently had a big summit with many world leaders, including the leader of Iran, India, Russia, and China, all meeting up in Tianjin and Tianjin in China. And then today they've had a big military parade, because don't forget they're in the future. So this has already happened. Through the streets of Beijing, and in attendance was Vladimir Putin, leader of Russia, and also Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, who arrived on his bulletproof fucking train, his armored train, like in Snowpiercer, which is based on a Korean comic book, actually. Maybe it was based on Kim Jong-un's train. I don't know. Anyway, so this military event, first one for 6 years. And it put Trump's big military event that he had on his birthday to absolute shame. No squeaky tank here. No squeaky tanks. Just, I don't know, ballistic missiles. Just massive ballistic. Oh, there's our little tank there. Looking quite lonely. Going across the screen. Okay. Bye. This was to celebrate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, and repurposed as a stage for China's global rise. And over 10,000 troops, hundreds of new advanced weapons were rolled out, not a squeaky tank amongst them. And Xi Jinping is declaring China's rise unstoppable. So seeing Putin and Kim Jong-un standing shoulder to shoulder with Xi, a very choreographed and very anti-Western, anti-NATO photo. Yeah, I'll be mostly lurking this morning, says Chris C. That's fine. You can lurk all you want. Was that sarcasm, or did the orange shit Gibbon say that? He did. He said, and I will quote, please, this is sent to President Xi on a public forum. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America. Wow. Well, there it is. There it is for you. This was less about, this event today, less about commemorating history and more about signaling the New World Order, where Asia, not the US, not Europe, is the centerpiece, because the US doesn't like Europe anymore. It's declared war on Europe, declared war on Canada, declared war on Panama, and declared war on Greenland for some stupid, effed up reason that no one can quite fathom. Unbefricking-leavable. And Trump's social media meltdown, the amount of projection and the weakness of all this, when he's had this meltdown because Trump loves this kind of spectacle himself, but he wasn't invited. And so he's like, I don't know, with vicious clowns shouting from the sidelines. He's just like, hey kid, want a balloon? No, I float. And I'm like, no, Trump, we don't want your fucking cursed balloons, you weird little twat. Why don't you disappear for 27 years? Why don't you just disappear entirely, which is what a lot of us were hoping would happen over the weekend, but sadly not. Big nothing burger. Anyway, Trump is his furious sort of late night eruption online is a perfect symbol, I think, of like American decline. Imagine having a leader awake at like 3 a.m, so we could have a childish dig at the leaders of other big countries. Instead of statesmanship, he resorts to sarcasm. It's a grievance politics. Like, look, I mean, the sarcasm bit is just mind blowing, isn't it? Oh, I hope you're having a nice time. Passive aggressively not having a nice time over here because I wasn't invited to your nice time. Like, what a child. This guy's in charge of America. They elected him again. He's stood for president 3 times. He's won twice and almost won. One of those times he almost won. It took a few days to count all the votes. Just, what are they thinking? But I'll ask you, at the moment, like, would you rather be friends with America, or would you rather be friends with a country that is reliable? I mean, it might be authoritarian, might treat the people of the up in the northwest of the country in Xinjiang province really badly. I mean, it might have invaded Tibet many moons ago, which no one seems to care about anymore. And it may be causing trouble in the South China Seas and starting, looking to attack Taiwan at some point. However, having said all that, the leader doesn't seem too mercurial, does he, in comparison with Trump? I'm sure he is, but if you're an African country and you've been relying on US aid for years, and you're relying on that aid to pay for the process to allow women who are HIV positive to give birth without passing the virus on to their babies, and then one day, with no notice whatsoever, that provision is taken away. And you're looking at what China's giving you, and they're still giving it to you. They haven't changed their mind. They haven't said, oh no, we're going to stop doing that thing that we were doing. Not to say that some Chinese projects in Africa don't fail. Some of them definitely do. I think there's a railway to nowhere in Kenya. I don't know if that ever got finished. But, I mean, taking away aid, destroying £1 million, not £1 million in money, £1 million in weight of food, destroying millions of dollars of medical equipment, destroying it because it's gone out of date, because it was all just held in warehouses when USA got shuttered. Like, put yourself in a position of a developing African nation. Are you going to trust America ever again after that. After they let you down. That mate who says, yeah, I'll help you move. And on the day you move, they don't turn up. They don't even say that they're not going to be there. They just literally don't fucking turn up. You all know who I'm talking about, don't you? Everyone's got one of them in their lives. Someone who's uniquely unreliable. Now, who are you going to ask? Are you going to ask them to ever help you again? Are you going to trust them? They say, oh, no, I'll help you out. I'll help you out. I mean, for me, I'm quite unforgiving. Like, if someone's really, really let me down once, I'm kind of like, well, okay, then bye. I'm a very much a plenty more fish in the sea kind of guy, and it's not that I don't value friendships. I absolutely do. It's just, I won't rely on you. I just won't rely on you. I'll keep you on side, maybe, whatever. Still like to go out for a drink now and again, but I'm not going to ask. Anyway, so yeah, just fucking Trump and he loves his military parades, doesn't he? His stupid fucking tank parade. And then he's whining now because someone pulled it off better. Because like the military parades in Red Square, Russian military parades and Chinese military parades, and these authoritarian governments tend to be a little bit better. No squeaky tank required. So Trump's psychological obsession with strongman has left him sidelined by these countries, especially India, but also Russia and China and North Korea and everywhere else. It's just kind of ignoring him. And the countries stuck in the middle, like countries in Africa, are turning towards China more and more. They always have done. I mean, this has been an ongoing process since before Trump took office. But you see, one of the things that America and Britain were very good at in the past was soft power, which was things like setting up high commissions, in the case of the UK, in Commonwealth countries, setting up the Commonwealth and being part of the Commonwealth, also having the British Council in different countries around the world, British schools in other countries, and this sort of soft influence of British culture, American culture, soft power. And that's all gone now. That's all gone. Like, no one wants anything to do with us. No one wants anything to do with America. And with us, it's since Brexit. And with America, it's since Trump got in. Since 2016, the world order has been upended by two fucking people. Well, no, three, actually. I mean, it's Donald Trump and Nigel Farage, but they are puppets being operated by Vladimir Putin. Absolutely. Which is something that I've been saying for many, many years now. In fact, at the end of 2016, that terrible year, I celebrated the end of 2016 by making a wooden cutout of the numbers 2016. And over the top, I had Vladimir Putin, and he had two puppets that he was holding up. And the puppets were Nigel Farage and Donald Trump, who have done more to damage their countries than any other human that has existed for 1,000 years, especially on this island. Like, that's how much damage Farage has done, and people still think that he's got something to say, or he's got some answers, he's got some solutions. No, he's just got destructions. He hasn't got instructions. He's got destructions. He just goes around destroying stuff, destroying things that were working fine. But he turns up and says, "No, get rid of this, and it'll all be okay." Turns up, to fix your boiler, and he's pulling stuff out the wall. He's just pulling stuff out. So you don't need that. You don't need that. No, you don't need a water going in. You don't need water going out. No, you don't need that. Yeah, he's it's all a bit grim. It's all a bit grim. 100% agrees. China's credit, they are investing heavily in Africa and Asia without the imperialist baggage. Outside the West, most governments are very practical about democracy, human rights, etc. Yeah, Benjamin, you're absolutely right. And that's something that when you're looking for aid, when you're looking for investments in your projects, if you want to get investment from Europe or America, they will be quite heavy on human rights. Like, you can't have slaves build that thing that you want to build. Whereas China doesn't really give much of a fuck about that kind of thing. They're like, yeah, build it however you want. We don't care. If we give, if we get 50 million in investments and you take 50, you don't pay your workforce and you just pocket the money yourself, we don't care. Which happens more times than anyone would like to possibly admit. But Trump thinks he's the deal maker, doesn't he? He thinks he's the deal maker. And there's, Xi and Putin and Kim and Modi. They're just they're not doing a deal with him, are they? Are they? And Trump, not knowing anything about geopolitics, not knowing anything about economics, not knowing anything about diplomacy or how the world actually fucking works. This is just a mummied, mollycoddled, rich boy, mollycoddled, rich boy, a little rich shit. Biff Tannen, if he had been born into wealth, that's who he is. And his life, he has just always got away with being the most grotesque human being imaginable, and it's never really caught up to him. He's always got away with it. He's got away with things that no other mortal on this planet will get away with, and yet people still believe in him. His approval ratings, I mean, I kind of get a little bit tired of seeing these videos online, and I know I shouldn't diss my fellow content creators, but people across the pond who are like, oh no, he's tanking in the polls now, oh, people are really hating him. And it's like, okay, he might have gone down like 1 or 2% in the opinion polls, especially on like particular things like the economy or whatever. But here's the reality, mate. Like, the Democrats are nowhere to be seen. Like, Trump is around 40% approval at the moment, 40% of Americans approve of what he's doing. The Democrats is like 25. Honestly, the Democrats are doing so badly. The only reason why the Democrats are ever winning anywhere is because the Republicans are losing, because people don't like the Republicans. But as far as Trump's approval rating is concerned, it's about the same as it was in his first term. And don't forget that when we got close to the election, obviously the amount of approval went up. In both elections, in 2020 and in 2024, his approval went up in time for the election, because people were like, oh, well, give him another go. He seems like a nice guy. If you repeat the lie often enough, it becomes the truth. He's very good at lying and very good at repeating lies. But the reality is that, Trump has unilaterally one person, one squishy human being, and I know he's being controlled by Putin, arguably, and by other, nefarious actors like Thiel and Musk and the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, and all these bastards, right? But the reality is that no other leader could have got away with this. The shit that he's done, no other leader of America would get away with it. J.D. Vance would not get away with it. Stephen Miller wouldn't get away with it. Marjorie Taylor Greene wouldn't get away with it, but Trump gets away with it. But what he has done, he has successfully done something that no other Western leader has managed to do. He has united America's rivals. Don't forget, China and Russia have not had the best of relationships over the years. If we go back in time to the days of the USSR, when, China fell to communism under Chairman Mao, Russia was like, hell yeah, we're going to take over the whole world. We're all going to become communists now. Yay, communism. But it didn't really materialize that way, just because China didn't get on with Russia, essentially. Or the USSR, well, let's say Moscow. It didn't get on with Moscow the way that they thought they would, and they weren't particular friends. In the same way that Yugoslavia was communist, but didn't really get on with Moscow. We did had an on and off love affair with Russia, which was more off than on. The same sort of thing happened with China. They started off going, yay, we're going to be great international friends and work together to further the cause of communism. But they soon became rivals. And this has continued up to this almost this very day. And then you look at India and China, and they have quite heavy border disputes. Like, I think I might be wrong in saying this, but there's not many places that India doesn't have that it borders, that it doesn't have territorial disputes with. It certainly has them with Pakistan, certainly has them with China. It's had disputes in the past with Bangladesh. There was this mad system. It's changed a bit now, but there wasn't a time when there were these little tiny exclaves of Bangladesh in India and exclaves of India in Bangladesh. And it was a crazy situation. I don't think. I think the borders with Nepal are pretty set. I think, and also Bhutan, but also I think there's trouble down at their border with Myanmar, with Burma, and so India has always traditionally been antagonistic towards its neighbours. It's got beef with Sri Lanka. The ferry that goes across. I think it's Adams Bridge. It's called, which is the short. There's a little there's a little bit that comes out at the bottom of India, off to the side, off to the east of India comes down like a peninsula. There's a little bit at the very bottom, and it used to be a land bridge over to Sri Lanka, and it's not there anymore. Obviously, it got flooded in the last ice age or whatever, and. Actually, I don't think it got flooded. No, I think it went quite fairly recently. I'm going to look that up. Sorry, everyone, while I look things up. Let's go to look things up online. Adams Bridge, India, Sri Lanka. There we go. Formerly a land connection. Etymology. Okay. No. The entire. Okay. Right. So it was. It used to be a little bridge going across Adams Bridge, and it's got like a little. It's got like a little chain of islands, little chain connecting India to Sri Lanka. But it's the Bridge of the Sea, and it appeared. Name's Adam Bridge appeared around 1030. Common Era. Actually, no. What? Yes. And due to when did it? Okay, following the rise to present sea levels during the Holocene around 7,000 years ago, the strait became submerged. Okay, sorry, not 10,000 years. The islands. Oh, hang on. The islands of Adams Bridge became emergent again following sea level falls in the region from around the islands. So so it flooded completely, and then it went down again, and the islands. Anyway, so there used to be a ferry going across relatively Adams Bridge from India to Sri Lanka. You used to be able to buy a train ticket in Britain. It's over 100 years ago, back when we were civilized. You could buy a train ticket that would take you all the way to India. And then you could get a train ticket that would take you from Bombay, as it was then, down to Colombo, the then capital of Sri Lanka. And you'll get the train and it'll get to Adams Bridge, and then you'll get on a ferry and it'll take you over. That ferry hasn't existed for 40 years now, because of disputes between India and Sri Lanka. Don't forget, the Tamil tigers come from originally Tamil Nadu, which is the southerly bit of the tip of India. I wish I had a map. Should I have a map up, shouldn't I? So I can show you all this. Maybe I can actually. No, I've got it set up for the morning brew papers. I don't have a map set up. But I could get a map. Could I get a map? No, I'm not going to get a map. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kongian dollars. That's very kind of you. Tariffs on India. Modi describes the multipolar world as arriving, but the US declining in empire isn't done flailing and throwing tantrums around. I'm afraid, Mr. Trump. Well, yeah, they are throwing a tantrum. Anyway, sorry, I got this bit distracted by geography. Distracted by geography on Morning Brew. Thank you, David, for bringing me back online. David's now a member of the channel, which is kind of cool. But yes, welcome. Are you still in Vietnam? Are you still in Vietnam, David? You still having a good time in Vietnam? So India has never had a particularly great relationship with China. They have border disputes, especially up in Kashmir. There is an area of land that is that India claims, but is de facto held by China up in the mountains. And to see Modi and Xi shaking hands and being all pally and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of weird in a way. Normally, it's very stuffy and formal when these leaders meet, and they're all smiles and laughing and just going, can't believe our luck. Can't believe our luck. And now we've got the leader of North Korea coming in to Beijing today. And Russia, China, North Korea, historically, they've had very prickly relations, very prickly relations. China's got border disputes with Russia as well. And China's, it has a bit running hot and cold relationship with North Korea. Don't forget, if it wasn't for China, North Korea would have stopped being a thing a long time ago. Like China props up North Korea, pays for everything. But these countries, there's 4 countries: India, Russia, China, and North Korea. And don't forget, China's got land borders with all 3 of those countries. They've been drawn closer by Trump's erratic policies. They've been brought together by Trump being a fucking dickhead, not knowing what he's doing. And so, to see Narendra Modi treated as guest of honor in China is like, for people who take a notice of geopolitics, that's kind of mad. That's kind of mad. You wouldn't have expected that at all. And you see Xi and Modi signaling that they want to work together on a partnership, despite these decades-long border disputes that are still ongoing. And there was a picture, wasn't there, of Modi inside Putin's limo, laughing and joking with him, and after Trump bragging about the fact that he had Putin in his limo in America, in Alaska. I tell you what, though, I mean, as like a comedy sketch, I'm amazed no one's done this yet. I like the Daily Show or something. It just had that conversation of Trump and Putin in the car, and Trump just behaving like a little child, trying to show things to Putin on his phone. He's like, look at this, I got the high score on Candy Crush. And Putin's like, Trump's got a picture of his grandkids. He's like, look at me grandkid. This is me grandkid. Oh, look, here's a tank. Here's an old tank. It was so exciting. And I went in this helicopter. Then we went up in the sky. And Putin's just sitting there going, here's a cat. This was a cat. I saw this cat and it was walking along and its tail was up like that and you could see its bumhole. Look, Vladimir, you can see its bumhole. And Vladimir Putin's just like, and that's the entire conversation. That is it. Just Trump showing Putin daft shit on his phone, and Putin just like, we should deep fake that. We've got 2 actors to play Trump and Putin, and we could face swap them. We could deep fake their faces. I think we should do that. What do you reckon? Oh, look at this! It's that exciting. Fucking child. I imagine Trump will probably show him a cleavage shot. Yeah. What do you think of this? This is my wife naked. Fucking weirdo. The robot dogs are especially terrifying. Yes, they are. Especially anyone who's watched that episode of Black Mirror with the robot dog. Jesus. Tripchit says, I think the nation of England is under a collective dissonance, something immigrants have been struggling for a while. It appears that England and American might be the bad guys. It's a tough pill. Yeah, I think the nation is under... I mean, yeah, I think that America at the moment, definitely not on the side of the angels. Not on the side of the angels. And I think that there was a time when Britain sort of prided itself on its place on the international stage. I think that image has been absolutely brutalised, just beaten to shit by the Tories, by their 14 years of mismanagement and turning foreign affairs into a joke. Don't forget, we had Boris Johnson as our not only Prime Minister, but before then our Foreign Minister, Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, or whatever the full title is. Like, going to other people's countries and just being dead disrespectful and just dead horrible and just insulting everyone and thinking that he's being funny. Not cool. God, I cringe. I fucking cringe so bad. You know what I hate more than most things, right? It's British people behaving like twats in other countries. The secondhand embarrassment that I feel is just, it puts my back out. That's how much I cringe when you see these fucking hooligans, like Boris Johnson, football hooligans getting drunk and smashing places up in Greece or in Turkey or in Spain. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? What, oh, some British twat going around the world going, oh my God, these savages. Oh, ho, ho, ho. I'm going to get a picture of me with these African children. Aren't I the great white saviour? Fuck off, mate. Fuck off. Tough bastards. Anyway, so yeah, Putin to Trump. Do you have any naked picture of Ivanka? Do you want to see some? That's quite funny, Mike. Speaking of robots, check out the latest humanoid and non-humanoid robots from Unitree. Very impressive. They're probably ahead of Boston Dynamics these days. Ooh. And Yvonne, who's been a member for 18 months. That's really cool. Suspect the Trump event was pre-recorded. Yeah. Don't see why not. What you mean yesterday when we had to wait for fucking 45 minutes for them to come on stage to do nothing? Come on stage to all these people behind him propping him up. So anyway, yeah, but Trump couldn't sleep last night because people were having a big military parade and he wasn't invited. But yeah, I mean, US foreign policy for the last 30 years has been to try and keep India and Russia apart. India and China apart as well. And Trump blew it with a 50% tariff on India. Like, what do you expect? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to go, oh, well, you're right, Mr. Trump, we'll just shrivel up and die? You got to understand, and then this is something that I think a lot of politicians, a lot of people just don't get, right? But people in India do. Indian people are very, very proud, and they take, I'd say, justifiably quick offense with Western countries feeling they are superior to India. And this is understandable, given the historical context. Here's the historical context. In 1600, when the British East India Company, or whatever it's called, was founded, India, what we now know as India, which was at the time, a group of countries, if you want to call them that. We didn't really have nation states back then. Nations weren't really built till the 1800s. But, all these little kingdoms and with their own sort of Maharaja or ruler, or whatever the name of the particular ruler of that particular place was. And at that time, the collected wealth of all those places put together made what is now India the wealthiest country in the world. The wealthiest country in the world. Lots of people, lots of trade, lots of materials, lots of artisans, lots of minerals, lots of things they could dig out the ground and make things out of. A lot of resources, right? And the weather that you could grow stuff all year round, which you can't do in Europe. You can't grow anything in the winter. In Africa and in India and in Africa, you can grow things all year round, especially in the tropics there. It went from that to the end of the 40s, when Britain finally left the Indian subcontinent. India broke into three, well, two technically, because it was India and Pakistan, but East Pakistan became Bangladesh. So let's say it split into three. It split into three. At that time, India was one of the poorest countries in the world. So it went from being one of the richest. White people come from the West, fuck things up for a few hundred years. Over 300 years, Britain fucked things up for people in India. And I don't want to hear about bureaucracy. I don't want to hear about fucking railways and cricket and all this bullshit, right? Because here's a little fact for you, right? Britain never invaded Japan. Never invaded Japan. Just never happened, right? Japan has a much better rail system than Britain. Japan has democracy. Japan can play cricket, I guess, if they want. They don't. It's more of a baseball place, but do you know what I mean? Like, okay, mate, I think countries can develop without Whitey turning up and fucking things up for people. What we did in India was we just basically stole all of their resources for hundreds of years, propped up the British Empire. In fact, India was arguably the only profitable bit of the British Empire because it cost so much for the administration of these places, and there were rebellions, justifiable rebellions, propping up everywhere. And India has all the Indians I've ever met. I've had quite an acute sense of history of what happened in the past. And if we talk to Platter, who's sometimes comes on our Friday night show, he was born in India, he was raised in India, and he'll talk about how the people in India have more in common with British working class people, and British working class people got more in common with Indian people, and why he doesn't feel like the British working class should feel guilty about what Britain did in the past. And I agree with him. I absolutely agree with him that we shouldn't necessarily feel guilty about it, but we should be at least aware of it, and we should be sensitive to it. And we shouldn't come out with stuff that is demeaning to the dignity of the people of India, especially given the historical context. And Trump is so demeaning. He's like, well, you can't survive without us, 50% tariff, ha ha ha. What did he think was going to happen? Did he think that India was going to shrivel up and die? Is that what he thought? 1.4 billion people were just going to go, oh yeah, fair enough, mate. When there's almost infinite resources for what they need next door in China or a little bit to the north in Russia. We'll just do our own thing then, America. Bye. And America, and there you've got Trumpelstiltskin slamming his foot on the ground, go, but you need us. But here's the reality. We don't need America. And you know what? I wish more people in Britain, in Europe, but particularly in Britain, fucking got this through their heads. We don't need America. I say shut it down. Shut down Twitter. It's a toxic fucking hell site. Shut it down. And then, once it's shut down, we'll have a European alternative to Twitter that everyone has to use because you don't get much option in it. And what happens on this, on this particular platform is that your rights are protected. No one can libel you. Or in a video slander you, I guess. They can't. Your right to privacy, your right to not be harassed, your right to not have people send you death threats. Be protected. Why can't we have a European Facebook? Why not? I mean, it's pretty obvious how they put it together. It's just a fucking website, for Christ's sake. It's not like the secret to Coca-Cola. It's not the secret ingredients to Coca-Cola. It's not like people can't suss out how this is all put together. You can see the fucking code, dudes. Like, seriously. Just, yeah. China has its own Facebook, doesn't it? Weibo or something is it called? I can't remember. Have you noticed, though, says Chris C, that it's always the English that cause the problems surrounding immigrants? Rarely you hear about the Scottish, Welsh, or Irish kicking up as much about immigrants. Well, the Northern Irish, mate. The Northern Irish. Maybe not the Irish from the Republic of Ireland, but the Irish from the northern bit of the island. The northeast. It should be called Northeast Ireland, shouldn't it? You can't even really call it Ulster, because Ulster is made of nine parts, isn't it? Whereas the bit that is Northern Ireland is just 6 of them. So it should be called like two-thirds of Ulster. Yeah. The problem is we have an old generation that still believes the BS that they were taught about the British Empire being good for the world. Chris C, kids still get taught that. So my eldest stepdaughter did history and she hated it. And I can see why she hated it. You had to learn about bloody World War II and that's about it. But they did do stuff on the Empire. And one of the things that she had to do for homework one night, and was helping her with her homework, was she had to list all the good things about the Empire. She had to do a list of the bad things and the good things. And I was like, just leave it blank. Just leave the good things blank. There's just no excuse for it. It made us really rich. There you go. That's a good thing for us. Good thing for the countries that we invaded and annexed. No, there's nothing there. There's nothing there for them. We fucked them. You got to understand. We fucked them. And like I say, I'm not asking everyone to get down on their knees and beg for forgiveness from all these different 50 countries around the world. But I mean, at the same time, I just feel like we should at least acknowledge the damage that the British Empire did. Look at the First Nations in Canada. Look at how the Native Americans were treated in what's now the United States of America. The Aboriginals in Australia, the Maori in New Zealand. How these people who lived in these places that we went to were treated. I still wish to undertake an epic road trip from here to India. That would be absolutely epic. Dark 4x4. Unfortunately, it's going to be a bit difficult to get through Iran and Pakistan at the moment. You can't really get from China into India, so you couldn't go round. And getting a car into China is an absolute bloody nightmare. You've essentially got to pay a tariff of the entire cost of the car, which you'll get back when you leave with the car, so you don't sell the car while you're in China. It's them to stop like cheap imports, which is slightly ironic, but yeah, cheap imports of cars is to stop that from happening. Yeah, getting into India by car now. Back in the 70s, you could do it. Back in the 70s, you could just trundle down through Turkey, through Iran. You'll go through Afghanistan on the hippie trail. You then go through Pakistan into India and then end up in Kathmandu in Nepal. You take your VW camper van all the way. You could do that back in the day. You can't now. Isn't that mad? And all this technology. Got like roads and road signs and got these railways and all this stuff, you know, high-speed rail, and yet you can't undertake the journey from London to Kathmandu anymore because of politics, because of one man in each particular country being a twat. And that's what it always boils down to, my friends, one man being a twat. Why did this happen? Well, one man decided to be a twat. Okay, the history of the world summed up in one fucking sentence. My Indian friend lives in Scotland and suffers terribly from racist abuse, says Jovian. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. A dear friend of mine whose father was from Morocco, never suffered, grew up in Liverpool, never suffered any racial abuse growing up at all. And it wasn't until Brexit that after the Brexit vote, she went to the pub and some bloke in the pub was like, "Oh, you fuck off back where you came from." The first time in her life she'd ever suffered racial abuse was after Brexit because it empowered the racists. It's like putting the flags up everywhere. It's just empowering the racists to make them think, "Oh yeah, I'm superior." Because you don't forget, racists, they don't have much self-worth. Do you know what I mean? They don't think much of themselves. The only thing they've got going for them in their life is the colour of their skin, which is kind of sad if you think about it, isn't it? It's kind of pathetic. Is that it? Is that what you got going for? Yeah, I've got a colour between. I'm British. An accident of birth. Wow. Well, you know, you did well. But yeah, so yeah, the way that Trump and his fucking tariffs and his tantrums have led these countries to each other's embrace is just, you know, you got to understand as well, right? When I was talking about Indians being quite sensitive to, I mean, not every Indian gives a fuck about all this kind of stuff, but especially the ruling class, the political class in India definitely give a fuck about this kind of stuff. And there are perceived slights that Trump is such a brash, annoying, loud American. He just would not understand the subtleties of it all. But to give you a kind of insight into the way Modi's probably thinking. I mean, I can't say for sure, but how I imagine he's thinking. I imagine that Modi's rather pissed off with Trump because after the recent skirmish in Kashmir between India and Pakistan, Trump claimed credit for the ceasefire, right? Which actually wasn't anything to do with him, right? It was India and Pakistan who worked it out amongst themselves because this is something that flares up from time to time between India and Pakistan, okay? And back in India and Pakistan, I want to call them frenemies. Anyone who's witnessed the elaborate ceremony that they have at the border points where they dress up in crazy clothes and snub each other and they have like feathers coming out of their caps and all this kind of stuff when they close the border gate. between the only major border between the only official border, I think, between Pakistan and India. And for Trump to take what has been a diplomatic, situation, let's call it that, that's been going on since the 1940s, between India and Pakistan, right, and go, I solved this problem, which hasn't been solved. It hasn't been solved. There will be more clashes in the future between India and Pakistan. I'm going to tell you that now, because there is a disputed border area of Kashmir, which is being fought over in a very, very slow, glacial-paced war between India, Pakistan, and China. And that war will continue for a very, very long time. And they might sort things out with China. Things might thaw, but the glaciers up in Kashmir move faster than the prospect of peace between India and Pakistan, a lasting peace and an agreement of what to do with Kashmir and Jammu. I think it should be an independent state, but no one asks the people of Jammu and Kashmir what they want, do they? David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kongian dollars. It's very kind of you. In my opinion, after Ukraine war has been resolved, Putin has gone, Britain has rejoined the EU should join BRICS and call it e-BRICS and unite the world. And unite the world! Yeah, against America. Against America. The coalition of the willing to not be American. But yeah, I mean, this is the big problem with superpowers, because America was arguably a force for good. And I know some of you in the chat are going to go, fuck off, Graham, what are you talking about? But there was a period of time when American intervention, probably up until 9/11 really, but American intervention in foreign conflicts was often to try and protect people who were being attacked by someone else. So you could point to Kuwait being attacked by Iraq in 1990, 91. You could point to the Bosnian Muslims who were being massacred, the Kosovan Muslims who were being massacred by the Serbians, by the Serb Croats. The intervention there by America saved the lives of Muslim people. The American intervention in the north of Iraq was there to help Muslim people, Kurdish people living in the north of Iraq. And America was instrumental in putting together that zone, in the north of Iraq, where there was an autonomous region of what we colloquially call Kurdistan. And then you've got the diplomatic efforts that were made throughout the 90s for getting peace in between Palestine and Israel. That almost seems quaint now. But America was trying to push for people to get on. And don't forget, I would always cite the reason for the collapse of the British Empire. I will always say that it's because of economic reasons, right? It just cost too much to run, and it was a big headache. And the UK after the war just couldn't afford to keep up the empire. However, America did put a lot of pressure on not just Britain, but other European countries that had these big fuck-off empires around the world to give up their empires. They did put a lot of pressure on these countries to do so, which, despite the fact that America at the time had fucking Jim Crow laws, it had apartheid. This is before the civil rights movement. This is before Martin Luther King and JFK and RFK Senior. Jesus Christ, he must be spinning in his grave right now. But so America wasn't doing it brilliantly at home, but it was arguably doing some good things, along with doing some bad things. It went in on Korea, right? If it wasn't for America, all of North Korea would be Korea, all run by Kim Jong-un, the grandchild of the original eternal leader, the communist leader of Pyongyang. And it was America's intervention that secured that peace between the two countries, who's still technically at war. It is a ceasefire. It is not a peace deal, a peace treaty. It is a ceasefire. And that's all that they're probably going to get until the Kim dynasty just goes the fuck away. But yeah, and also in Vietnam. Look, Vietnam was a absolute clusterfuck. And I just, why America got involved, I don't know. It was France's war. It started with French Indochina, and then it just mutated into this thing that destroyed, not just laid waste to vast swathes of Vietnam, but also Laos and also Cambodia under the Khmer Rouge. So America, I guess, was trying to do the right thing, but like failing very, very badly. But the America invaded Panama to take out Manuel Noriega. Arguably, that was the right thing to do in the circumstances. It invaded Grenada, which probably wasn't the right thing to do. But you see, like, I want to argue to a certain point that America's interventions around the world were at least trying, and sometimes failing quite badly, but like trying to help, trying to make things better, even though, you know, sometimes they fucked up and made a bad situation worse. Going into Afghanistan was arguably to protect the people of Afghanistan against the Taliban. They're going into Iraq the second time for no reason whatsoever that anyone can discern to this day, because there were no weapons of mass destruction. So the reason for going in was very shaky. But, you know, from a certain angle, in a certain light, from a certain point of view, you could say, well, they were trying to get rid of Saddam Hussein, who did gas his own people. I mean, he wasn't a very nice person. You know, getting rid of him, that was probably a good thing. I mean, you don't get rid of a single swishy human being by invading an entire country. That's not the most economical way of going about things. It's not the most sensible way of going about things in any way, shape, or form. However, America, for all of the shit that it did, for all the daft and the interventions by the CIA, the fucking incompetent fucking dickheads of the CIA. The CIA pays Hollywood to get access to CIA stuff and to get access to army stuff. They have to make them look good in movies, but the real reality of American, like the military and the CIA and the FBI, it's just fucking incompetence on every fucking level. I mean, they are fucking some of the most incompetent boneheads to ever bonehead. And some of the daft shit that the CIA did in the 20th century, could spend an entire morning talking about the daft shit that they did. But again, it's not as simple as America bad. I don't think it ever has been up to this point, right? What my argument is that they did some things that actually turned out well for places, and they did some things that turned out shit for places, obviously. But now, with America's attitude towards the world, they're just doing shit. But this is because of Trump, and this is what happens when you have one superpower that is above all others. And okay, for the first 5 years, 6 years after World War II, it was the only country in the world that had nuclear weapons. Now, you tell me that if it was the Soviet Union that had those nuclear weapons, they wouldn't have used them to conquer the whole of Europe and maybe conquer America, maybe conquer Australia and everywhere. They would have used it to conquer the world. Wouldn't they? Wouldn't they? Under Stalin, are you kidding me? But America developed nuclear weapons first, and for 6 years they didn't. They didn't go around conquering the world. In fact, if anything, they demanded that other countries stop going around conquering the world. So, yeah, you've got to take a balanced view on this. But the problem with hitching your ride to the one superpower is there is a weakness, there is an Achilles heel in a superpower, and that is the person running it. And the person running it will change. And you might have a person whose heart is in the right place. You might have a Jimmy Carter, or dare I say it, Clinton even, or Obama, who wasn't a particularly great president, but its heart seemed to be in the right place. But then you get a leader like Trump, and everything that you relied on with that country is gone. All that aid, gone. All that goodwill, all that soft power, gone. And he thinks, oh, well, I'll put a 50% tariff on India. That'll sort them out. That'll make them come begging. And he just doesn't understand how the way that the world works isn't that. The CIA has a lot of blood on its grubby little hands. Yes, it does, Chris. And you can look at a lot of places around the world that are fucked now, and they're fucked because of fuck-ups by the CIA. Afghanistan's a really good example. The CIA helped get weapons to the Mujahideen in the 1980s to defeat the Taliban. To defeat the Russians. This is the Soviets, to defeat the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and get the Soviets out of their country. And then afterwards, they did fuck all to help rebuild a country that was awash with angry young, uneducated men and AK-47s. Absolute fucking madness. Loved learning about the Egyptians and Romans, then hated learning about history up to the 1700s, then loved it again about the Industrial Revolution and both world wars. Captain says, like lobbying, the US started off as an attempt to do the right thing, but then just lobbying. They have morphed into the initial goodwill into self-serving policies. Yeah, but here's the thing, Captain. They're not even self-serving. It's self-sabotaging. Like, we have to work together. It's like, you imagine someone who lives in the fanciest house in the village, right? And they go about, because of an idiot and a psychopath, they go around trashing everyone else's house, thinking that will make their house rise in value, okay? But then you're left with a house in a fucked up village where everything else is dysfunctional and falling apart, and there's no medical centre, and the roads have got potholes, and all the windows are smashed, and all the other buildings, and it actually brings down the house price of their house because it's now in a bad area because they made it a bad area. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive to the world. I'm not like, oh yeah, we should go out and do great things. I'd love that to be the case, but the brutal reality is that there is always a quid pro quo. No one goes into a trade deal thinking they'll give Britain a really good deal, except for Britain. We're not going to get a great trade deal with America. We're not going to get a trade deal with Australia. That's good for us, especially if we hurry it and get Boris Johnson to write it on the back of bog paper. No, there's always a quid pro quo. And here it is. The more we give in aid to other countries, the more we help other countries and develop them. I mean, I'm a bit torn on the whole aid thing because I don't think that it is good for a nation to be reliant on handouts, right? I would rather see that aid used, and sometimes it is, so this isn't all the time. I know that when there's a specific acute emergency that needs to be looked at, people need medicine, they need food immediately. But giving these countries investment to build their own shit, to do their own thing, to build their own infrastructure, to build their own roads and railways and factories and ports and shipping containers and whatever they need to build, right? We should be investing in these places. Not just because it is the right thing to do, and we do have a historical reason for helping these places out, right? Especially countries that were part of the Commonwealth, but then again, Britain's had its grubby little fingers in nearly every fucking country in the world. So you could argue any country could say, we could do with some development money from Britain, but also it helps us. It helps us out because you're more likely to trade with the person who, came into your shop with a smile rather than the person who came into your shop and punched you in the face. Like, who are you going to trade with? Who are you going to... Imagine going into someone else's shop and they go, well, fuck off. And you're like, well, I haven't done anything. Just fuck off. We don't want your kind around here. We don't want your money. Are you going to... And then 2 years later, they're going, oh, would you like to come to my shop and buy something? She's like, no, you told me to fuck off. Yeah, but that was 2 years ago and we had a different leader back then. We had a different person in charge of the shop. Now you should... I mean, come on. There is a level of self-interest in helping the world, and we can't shy away from that, and we shouldn't. But the stupidity of these fucking right-wingers who haven't got a fucking clue about anything, about how the world works, about how life works, about how normal human interactions work, about how a village works, about how people work together for a common good. They have no idea about collectivism. All they want is this atomized, individualistic bullshit. These are the people who will point at someone who's overweight and say, it's your fault. You're not disciplined as you should be. Fuck off. If you have money and if you have a very fast metabolism, you ain't going to get fat no matter how much fucking food you eat. Because you're rich and you've got a fast metabolism. You don't have to do any extra fucking work. But if you have a very slow metabolism and you've got fuck all money to buy healthy foods, so all you can eat, all you can afford for the the energy value that you need, the kilojoules you need, the calories, get the right word, Graham, the calories you need can only be served by ultra-processed food. And people are like, oh, no, I don't believe in that sort of individualistic, it's your fault, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I believe in collectivism. I believe in society working together to pull up the people at the bottom. And that's something that I think that we have very much lost sight of in recent years. Very much. I've lost sight of what society is and why we collectively work together, what the social contract is. And we need to go back. We need to go back to a world where, you know what, there was a little bit of, this is good for us if we help these places out. But I tell you what, it is not good for us that there is instability in Yemen. It is not good for us that there's been no functioning government really in Somalia since 1991. It is not good for us. Because you get Houthi rebels with the rocket launchers firing them at ships coming across from China to Britain, coming across from Japan to Britain, coming across from India to Britain. You get the Somali pirates, taking over. And it's because of instability that we've ignored. We've not done anything about. You could argue that we fostered it in the first place. Don't forget, Yemen only exists because some British person drew a line on a map at the end of World War One. Chris C says, when it comes to aid, we should allow the countries receiving the aid the autonomy on how best to use that aid. Of course, there would need to be safeguards built in to prevent it being used for bad. Yeah, Chris, you're right, but this is why we shouldn't give the money to the government. We should give money to individuals. Just give them money. One thing I really agree with Rory Stewart on, even though he's a Tory, is give people money. Just give them money. Turn up. What do you need? What do you want to do? I want to extend my shop. Okay, there you go. What do you want? I want to buy a generator. I want to buy some solar panels so I can run my shop in the nighttime. Because at the moment, in the nighttime, I don't have any lights, so I could get some lights, get some solar panels. Okay, here you go. Here's a couple of grand, and I guarantee that 99% of people running a shop in a little village in a country in Africa will go and buy a fucking solar panel. I mean, some of them will go and spend it on fucking Cuban cigars, but not really. Not many of them. People are a bit more smart than that. People are smarter than we give them credit for a lot of the time. Carbs are the problem. Keto is the way. Is that like a Jedi thing? Keto? Is that like this is the way? Oh, that's the Mandalorian, isn't it? This is the way. Is that like Mandalorian? Mando is the way. This is the way. Person impersonator says, yes, miss out on good food. I quite like them as a food, but they don't ruin the love. Yeah. Pull up by the bootstrap was originally ironic expression, actually. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Like that's gonna be how you get through life. And Chris says you can't cut all sugar, salt, and carbs or fats out of diets. The body requires all of them to function. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just everything in moderation, isn't it? But when things are being targeted to you and you really have no choice and you don't have the time because you're working so many jobs, your health will be impacted by that. And to think that that's not a problem of society when it absolutely is, and it's not the fault of society when it absolutely is, then you it's nonsense, isn't it? Person made lol. At the moment, my body requires coffee to function, but I bet one day the system will rebel and I'll be in search of a drink. Keto equals low carbs, healthy fats, moderate protein. Is that what it stands for? Where's the word keto come from? But yeah, yeah. Do you remember the food pyramid? The food pyramid that was popular in America in the 80s and 90s. They always went on about the food pyramid, and it was just basically made up by the companies that wanted to sell fucking sugar. Don't forget the people who sold sugar back in the day were all slave owners. Yeah, slave owners, and now these companies still exist and still do evil things. Don't forget Tate and Lyle sponsors the Tory Party conference, and they wanted to put all of us British sugar beet farmers out of business. Sorry, I'm not a sugar beet farmer. All of our sugar beet farmers out of business because they're bastards like that. Anyway, back to Trump and his messages to the world, his trade war backfiring. He aimed to punish Beijing, but instead he has strengthened China's global hand massively. The China controls the rare earth metals of the world. It really does. It's got most of the refining capability of these metals, which are needed for all electronic products the world over. So Trump can say, "We're not selling these chips to China." And it's like, okay, then whatever, mate. He's not selling the chips to China. Okay. And China's like, okay, well, we're not going to sell the rare earth metals to you that you need to make the fucking chips. You can't sell them to anyone, can you? You daft twats. And the allies of America have been alienated. Vietnam, Turkey, Egypt, all hedging towards China after Trump's economic bullying, understandably. And don't forget, Trump has rattled the saber towards Canada, NATO member, old ally of America. They've rattled the saber at Greenland, part of Denmark, another NATO member, and Panama. A country that they share historic links with. Panama is effectively, in many ways, was an American colony. So much so that when there was a Republican who ran for being president, and he was actually born in Panama. What was his name? He was the guy who put his thumb down. He was in Vietnam. He was a prisoner of war. His name escapes me at the moment. But yeah, he was born in Panama. But he was regarded as being born on American soil, even though he was born in Panama. Someone's going to tell me his name now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one. He passed away a couple of years ago. At least he didn't live long enough to see Trump get re-elected. Jesus Christ. I think, what's his name? Barry had the right idea. Get out while you can. He didn't have to see Brexit. He didn't have to see Trump's first term. He didn't have to see Trump trying to his insurrection. He didn't have to see Trump's second term, or his third. But yeah, I mean, the message to the world that America is spouting under Trump is that America is no longer stable, no longer predictable, or reliable. And why would you stay friends with someone who wasn't stable or predictable or reliable? Someone who's let you down time and time again. Why would you? And China is selling itself as a safe bet. Better the devil you know. Better the devil you know that's a authoritarian, totalitarian state that does one party control and one person in charge of that party. It was supposed to change, but Xi's basically changed the constitution, so he's going to stay president for life, just like what Putin did in Russia. But yeah, this is the irony of Trump as the authoritarian wannabe. He admires Xi, he admires Putin, he admires Kim Jong-un, and he wants their approval. He wants their approval. He mimics their strongman tactics, but it's like he's like a kid wearing his daddy's shoes. Do you know what I mean? It just looks like a fucking clown trying to do these things in a democracy, an American democracy, and then getting really angry and agitated because the courts won't let him do what he wants to do. Freaking nutter. So when they link up without him, they John McCain, thank you, Callum. John McCain. Thanks, David Faulkner, as well. What's this? I never add sugar. Prefer to have sugar in chocolate or cake. To under 16s, yeah. By the way, the banning drinks, what are they called? Red Bull, and highly caffeinated drinks to under 16-year-olds because it causes headaches and sleeplessness. It can cause addiction. It can cause caffeine addiction, where if you don't get your caffeine, your body starts to fall apart, which is never a good thing. So there you go. Yeah. So the contrast of Xi holding this parade. I don't know if you've seen the images or any of the videos, but like, you know, with 10,000 troops, you know, you contrast that with with Trump and his fucking shit military parade, or his rallies with Proud Boys in Hawaiian shirts, or, you know, his squeaky fucking tank. This is Trump. This is Trump's military parade right here. That's his military parade. That's it. Wow. Well done, Trump. It's pathetic, and it's infuriating as well. I find it really, really infuriating that one man can do so much damage to all of us, to the world, and hand so much power to authoritarian strongmen, dictators like Xi, like Putin, like Kim Jong-un, and confer legitimacy to what they are and what they're doing. The fact that he had a meeting with Putin in which he tried to show, you know, pictures of his wife's fake knockers, and Putin just sat there going, like the cat in the meme, at the table. But yeah, Trump making Asia great again. You know, Trump's arrogance and short-sightedness are accelerating America's decline massively, especially on the world stage. Instead of dividing his rivals, he's literally brought them together, and he's dividing he's pushing away the allies. You know, he's tried to chum up to the cool kids, and he's gone away from the geeks. He's left the geeks. He's tried to join the cool kids, and the cool kids are like, yeah, you can come to the party. And then he's turned up the party, and they've made an absolute arse of him. And after he's told all the geeks to fuck off, and he doesn't want to be their friends anymore. I mean, most of the things that Trump does can be explained through the medium of 80s high school drama comedies, unfortunately. Who have we got? We've got Wayne in the chat. Hello, Wayne. How you doing, mate? Bunty Joy 1800 says, my father died in 2012. He was so proud of the London Olympics and a pro-European. I'm glad he's not around to see what this country has become. Yeah. I mean, it's why we need to change things, don't we? We need to make things better. We really do need to make things better. Green Sea D says, morning peeps, why would you stay around with someone who's unpredictable, unstable, unreliable? As a trans person, I'll ask that of any Labour voter. Green Sea Dave, D, Green Sea D. I can completely sympathise with the fact that Labour have been all over the shop. All over the fucking shop, and they have not been protecting the rights of minorities in the way that they should absolutely be doing that. Who else have we got in the chat? Person impersonator saying, bye, Chris. I'll see you later. On that joyful note, I really need to crack on with these orders. So, you crack on, Chris. Martin Harrow, Wayne, my dad had a round when he was a kid, electric float. I'd help him at weekends for £1, 4 a.m. get up. Always good to get up at 4 a.m. So anyway, Red Bull ban. Someone mentioned the Red Bull ban. What else have we got here? We've got the historic parallel, with Nixon's 1972 trip to China, which split the communist bloc successfully. Cleaved a big wedge into the communist bloc, and compare that with Trump's 2025 tantrums have brought those two communist blocs together, former communist blocs. I wouldn't really call China communist anymore, and not that it ever really was. But for Xi, this is the dream, isn't it? America undermining itself, as well as Trump, with China's being China's best propaganda assets. we've spoken for a while about Trump being a Russian asset. But yeah, why this matters for the world and for us is we need a united front of China, Russia, North Korea, with India leaning closer, and that shifts the balance of power. It really, really does. I'm going to Greg's, says New Badok. What's your favorite, Greg's? I really like a chicken bake. I like going to Greg's and getting the hot food. I hate it when you go there and you get like a lukewarm pasty. I can't stand lukewarm pasties. But yeah, steak slice is always good. If I go to Greg's, I like to get a vegan sausage roll. Oh wow, there, Mr. Tisk as well. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because every time you buy a vegan sausage roll, Piers Morgan, a little bit of Piers Morgan dies. He's like, no, vegan sausage roll. Oh, we're being woked. We're being woked, I tell you. Wakes up every morning in tears at the concept of a vegan sausage roll from Greg's. Anyway, so yeah, just talk a little bit about why this matters. A united front of China, Russia, North Korea, with India leaning ever closer, shifts the balance of power of the world from the west to the east, and it weakens NATO and the Western alliance. It just does, and that's not great. It leaves Europe and the UK scrambling for footing, and authoritarian networks around the world are emboldened, and that is not a good thing for any of us. Because if it works in one country, it can work somewhere else. And the US under Trump is both dangerous and laughable. You know, the declining empire with nuclear weapons led by a fucking idiot. And that's what I hate about him more than anything else. It's not the fact that he's just grotesque and he's horrible. He's just horrible to look at. And it's the fact that he's stupid. He's so fucking stupid. He is so thick. That's what pains me so much. And the only people who like him are fellow thickos. No one with two fucking brain cells to rub together likes Trump. Anyone with any smarts, whether they be academic smarts or fucking street smarts, doesn't matter. If you meet someone and they go, oh, I quite like Donald Trump, you know at that moment that they are thick as pig shit. Yeah, and then Trumpists will say he's being tough on China. You know, they're talking about, you know, a tough policy that leaves America humiliated and consolidates Chinese power. Yeah, that's tough on them. Yeah, that's really tough. Good job. And I guess some can argue that this shift was inevitable, but you know, Asia's rise has been long term. You know, it's been coming for a long time, but Trump has accelerated it dramatically by alienating his allies and cozying up to adversaries without any results. You know, it's like he's just degraded himself in front of some world leader that he looks up to, and then he expects the world leader to feed him a fucking fish or something. Oh, do we get a fish? No, you fucking don't. Oh, I thought I was going to get a fish. Stupid twat. So yeah, America, you lost. You lost. I've said this now since the election last year. America's gone. America that we knew and hated or loved or had a love-hate relationship with, whatever. It's gone. It's just gone. He came in. Trump said, I'm going to make America great again. He's made Asia great again. Well done. Completed the job of, what, 425 years. The Europeans have been subjugating the peoples of Asia. So it's about time that Asia struck back, I guess. I suppose. But, you know, America's decline is self-inflicted. In fact, China's decline in the 1800s was self-inflicted. It was these dynasties of dickheads who were in charge. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were too busy screwing prostitutes and geishas and things rather than actually getting the fucking job done of running a country effectively. And they got screwed over. They got screwed over, even though the Chinese were some of the people who were responsible for some of the biggest technological advances of the Middle Ages. You know, they had the printing press before anyone else. You know, the equivalent of they had gunpowder before anyone else. They had silk before anyone else. You know, they knew how to do this stuff. Whereas you know, didn't. And you go back 500 years, China was way, way, way more advanced than what we were in Europe at the time. And yet it all fell apart because of one or two leaders who were shit leaders. I Bazan, thank you very much for the €2. Two American. I'm sorry, I'm half awake this morning. My screen's not working properly. It's one of the reasons why I was late getting started, and the letters are really, really small, so I'm having trouble reading them because I'm getting old in my old age. So sorry if I make a mistake. America's government behind Trump is scary evil. Yes, yeah. Indeed. Okay, an aunt of mine in Germany, liberated by the Americans but living under the Soviets. She said the Yanks were Russians with creases in their trousers. Wow. Well, I actually, I'm not gonna defend America here, but from what I understand, the American troops, or the Allied troops, were not as callous and brutal as the Russians sweeping across from the east. But I wasn't there at the time, so I don't know. Kirsty says, watched a US colonel sacked from their space command because she was trans. Totally self-inflicted decline. Fucking crazy. I told you about the fellow who was deaf, and they took him off researching a cure for hearing loss because he was deaf. Literally sacked for being disabled and looking into a treatment for his disability. And David says, don't forget that Iran is in that bunch and is surprisingly garnered much public support despite its dispute in its dispute with Israel recently. Anyway, right. So we're going to head over now to the newspapers. First of all, we've got the Mirror here with Starmer digital ID card plans. We're going to get an ID card, something that Labour's been wanting to do for years and years and years. And then there's a thing about Downton Abbey, about posh people being posh. Pay up or go free. This is the British teenager who is being held in Georgia on drug mule charges. They can go free if she pays a hefty fine. Okay, cool. Pay it. Start a GoFundMe or something. I don't know. Start an OnlyFans. I don't care. I don't think that's really world news at the moment. I mean, here's something, right? If you're going to travel to other countries, don't be a twat. Blazer plus jeans, new power dressing. Okay, cool. This is the Times. Murdoch rag. Backlash over arrest of Father Ted creator for trans tweets. Backlash? What backlash? Keir Starmer has told the police to prioritise serious crimes after the comedy writer Graham Linehan was arrested over gender-critical social media posts. No, he was arrested not over gender-critical posts. He was arrested because he calls people like me paedophiles on his public forum. He can go fuck himself. It's not about, I just don't like trans people. He's calling people paedophiles, trans and cisgender people. He's calling us paedophiles. And he thinks that he can get away with that. No, he shouldn't get away with that. He should go to fucking jail. Daft twat. He was treated like a terrorist for 3 online messages criticizing transgender activists. Yeah. I mean, I might put my fucking lot into that and send the screen cap of when he called me a groomer. Maybe I'll be down as a transgender activist. Even though I'm not transgender, but, I'm an activist for the people who are transgender, because people who are transgender are treated like shit at the moment, because Murdoch decided one day that transgender people were the people that we had to pick on. And again, one evil little man can do so much damage in this world. It is painful. Reeves sees borrowing costs reach 27-year high. Rachel Reeves is under pressure after Britain's long-term borrowing costs hit a 27-year high. And there were warnings that further tax rises will damage economic growth. What happened 27 years ago? Can anyone remember 27 years ago? What year was it? It was 1998, wasn't it? What had happened then? Oh, Labour had been in charge for 1 year after a really long period of Tory misrule. Funny, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Minute a day of incidental activity linked to longer life. Many people will struggle to muster the willpower to go jogging or drag themselves to the gym, but research suggests that even the exercise averse may not be entirely doomed, as just 1 minute of vigorous activity a day is linked to a longer life. Well, that's nice, isn't it? And there's Angela Rayner. She's arriving in Downing Street in what look like American flag shoes. They look like American. She's wearing the American flag on her shoes. They're not. They're dots, not stars. But it does look a little bit reminiscent of the American flag there. But she's got some sunglasses. She's looking cool. There we go. The Daily Mail. This is another classic Daily Mail front page. This is one to frame, isn't it? When did Britain become North Korea? We've become North Korea. Jesus wept. Oh, I haven't got much in the way of super chats this morning. I'm going to change that by doing let's see if we can do this. Let's get some super chats in. I'll set the timer. I'll put it for 30 minutes. I'm not going to talk for 30 minutes because I've got stuff to do today, and we do have PMQs coming up. So but we'll see. Let's do it for 15 minutes, right? 15 minutes. Let's see if we can get 5 super chats in. There you go. Okay, right. And how will we celebrate? Confetti. Have we done this yet? Where we've actually got the confetti? Confetti. Not confetti, but confetti. Anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, so we got 15 minutes to drop 5 super chats in, and then we'll hit our target, and you will get confetti. When did Britain become North Korea? It screams because another day in Starmer's socialist utopia, screams the Daily Mail. Nervy bond market spike again as PM hires raft of high tax fanatics. Threat of ID cards for all. Hard left Rayner's ambition and fashion sense. The talk of Westminster. Okay. Is this a North Korean thing? We talk about fashion sense of the Deputy Prime Minister. And armed police arrest Father Ted Reiter for tweets leaving. Millions asking, when did Britain become armed police? No, he was arrested at the airport. So the police had fucking guns because they have guns at the airport in this country. I don't know what to say. I want to say that these people are fucking lunatics. So I will. The people who write the Daily Mail are fucking lunatics. Socialist utopia, are they nuts? Yep, Kirsty, they are nuts. And Martin says, "Oh God, it's Wednesday already." I'm about to say, "Oh God, it's Graham already." Are we North Korea? Do we need Kim hairdos now? That would be hilarious. The Beatles want their mop tops back. Trip Chip says, because making me identify as a male is inaccurate, and to be honest, I don't like that. Which is fair enough. Like I don't understand what the problem is. I don't understand what the problem is with people who aren't trans about people who are trans. Nothing to do with them. Absolutely nothing to do with them. Oh God, sorry about this, but we've got this fucking frog-faced gobshite Farage there on the front cover of the Time Express. Farage, keep courts open round the clock to stop crime. He's doing the Trump thing of making out that we're living in a big fucking crime wave, a big crime zone. There's a big tidal wave of crime washing over us when crime are at historic lows. Crime is lower now and I'm 46. They are lower than at any point in my lifetime. And then we've got campaigners warn patients are missing out because of treatment because of postcodes. Sorry, I got rid of frog there. 100,000 lives at risk in cancer care lottery. Up to 100,000 cancer patients' lives could be endangered by being asked to travel too far for crucial tests and treatment, which is awful. And I hope that that can be addressed. But Labour seem to be too busy flailing around losing the fucking culture wars. And grand finale for Downton's Lady Mary and Countess Cora. Maybe they're going to have a lesbian love affair, and then they're going to have a murder-suicide pact. I don't know. Is that the kind of thing that goes down in Downton? Down in downtown. What goes down in downtown stays in downtown. or Downton. Pontefract cake. Does Starmer have an armoured train? Could you imagine? Oh my god, could you imagine Starmer on this train? It's like steampunk train. It ends up, and it's like dun, 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 like steam coming up from underneath, and it's like comes into the station and fills up the frame. And big fucking train stops an inch from the front of the frame, and then the doors open, and out steps Keir Starmer. Looking like Roger Irrelevant. All the steam goes out. It looks like Darth Vader. The doors open. You think, oh, is it going to be Darth Vader? And it's like, hello, I'm Keir Starmer. My dad was a tour maker. I look like Roger Irrelevant from The Viz. Hello. I can't make images in my head. I can't see the future. Oh dear. Lisa Davis, thank you very much. I love a bit of confetti. Brilliant. Excellent. And Captain Coconut says, I want to see that virtual confetti, Graham. So thank you very much, Captain Coconut, for your super chat as well. We just need 2 more, and we will get confetti, apparently. Oh, here we go. We got Pontefract cake with £2. So we need 1 more now. By the way, I'm drinking breakfast wine. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but that is kind of awesome. I've got to say, I love the idea of drinking breakfast wine. Breakfast wine. You can't go wrong with breakfast wine, can you? All good. Oh, and there we go. We got the. We got it. Okay, not yet. Sorry, I thought another one came through for the virtual confetti. The virtual confetti. It's coming. I'm sure it's coming at some point. And then we will have virtual confetti. Where does it happen? Does it happen on the video itself, or does it happen in the chat? Let me know. Let me know how it works. I don't know how it works. Someone quick put a super chat in so we can see it. Anyway, so yeah, we're back onto the papers. 100,000 lives at risk. Cancer care lottery, something that the government needs to address. Another picture of Raina stepping out of a car for some reason. She's looking fabulous. I don't know what the problem is. And then Zach Polanski wins the election for leader of the what's it called? The Green Party. The Green Party by a landslide. So he's there. He wins the landslide in leadership election. And then we've got specialist fucking what? The hell? What even was that? What even happened there? We got Europe's response to Gaza has been a failure, says Spanish PM. Is the Spanish PM wrong? I don't think the Spanish PM is wrong. I think the Spanish PM is 100% correctamundo. Under 16s face ban on energy drinks. I mentioned this earlier. And then the other side of the page says UK hit by new sell-off in bond markets. James Bond's markets of bondage gear are hit by a new sell-off. The people are selling them. Britain's long-term borrowing costs have hit the highest level in 27 years. After so many years of Tory mismanagement, what did you expect? Well, to be honest with you, I expected Labour to be doing a lot better than they are at the moment. Channel 4 interview with the new Green leader was quite good. I'll have to check that out. Apparently, he was on Newsnight and he wouldn't answer a question or something. I didn't see that, but I'll have to dig that out. Starmer plans ID card to help stop boat immigrants. Oh, hang on, we just got our last super chat. You did it. Goal is complete. Woohoo! Oh, confetti. Oh, that's really cool. You get confetti. Oh, that's really cool. I like that. I might have to change this up. So instead of having the black background, which is like you can set it differently, but we don't get confetti on the black background. If I do the white background, I've just seen that we do actually get confetti when we hit the target. So thanks very much to everyone who dropped in for the super chats there to get us there, and particularly to SGCV3SC. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Woo! Happy back to school day for those celebrating. Yes, it was. I did the school one this morning. Someone noticed that the thumbnail went up a lot earlier than it normally does. That's because I had to do it before I went on the school one, because I knew I'd be getting back just in the nick of time to start the show. And I was here. I was ready to go. But then technical problems. Whatever. Sorted it now. There's always a plan B. There's always a plan C. There's always a plan D. I will be here for you. No matter what. I will be here. I will swim through a river of fire to be here and talk about what's going on in the news and tell some really shit jokes. Anyway, so digital ID cards, yay or nay? I am. Welcome. You are awesome. Oh, wow. Yes, it's Kirsty McTia. Kirsty McTia, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, Kirsty, who I will be seeing in real life, I hope, at the Rejoin March. You coming to the Rejoin March this year? Kirsty, let me know. In October, I'm planning to be there. Starmer will introduce transphobic ID cards, says Kirsty. So thanks very much for the super chat. Yeah, they might be transphobic. This is the thing about ID cards. Because they're bringing in transphobic passports where you have to say that you are your birth gender rather than your actual gender. The way that it's going is very much along that route, isn't it? So is this the best time to be introducing ID cards? I don't think so. And let's have a look. The PM is considering introducing digital identity cards for every citizen in the UK as ministers urgently examine ways to reduce the pull factors that draw migrants across the English Channel. Well, the pull factor is it's the only way to claim asylum. It's the only way to claim asylum. That is the problem. That is the pull factor. This is the only way. You want this thing, you want asylum in the UK. The only way you can get asylum in the UK is if you get in this boat and go across to the UK. It's the only way you can do it. Fuck me. Right, moving on. We've got Engelbert Humperdinck. Why I still won't talk to Tom Jones. I didn't know that Engelbert Humperdinck was still alive, but apparently he is. And Alison Penis' son. Only Farage speaks for Britain. Get your head out of Farage's arse, you horrible little Shroud. Moving on. Starmer attacks Met over trans tweet arrest. Father Ted writer detained by 5 armed officers in latest attack on free speech. Fuck off. That cunt called me a fucking pedo. He can go fuck himself all the way to fucking oblivion, the mad twat. I'm very glad that his wife left him and his kids don't speak to him anymore. And he's lost all of his friends and he lives alone and he's sad and lonely because no one wants to be anything to do with him. And all his writing gigs have dried up. I mean, it's worth it. It's worth it to protect women. Not worth it to protect your kids, though, isn't it? Hey, twat. And then we've got Angela Rayner. Another picture of Angela Rayner. Back from the beach. Yeah, maybe. PM to push through the classism here. The classism on display on all these fucking posh newspapers, which are basically rags created by the private school kids in their sixth form rags. These are sixth form private school, public school rags. This is what they are. PM to push through welfare cuts. Prime Minister will drive through money-saving welfare reforms following his number 10 reset. He's determined to overhaul the disability payment system and get people on long-term sickness benefits back to work, despite opposition from Labour MPs. Well, good luck with that, mate, because I don't think it's going to fucking happen, because there's not enough Labour MPs who are kind of getting a bit sick of the way you're running the show at the moment. Greens elect, this is how they report it, Greens elect breast hypnotist as leader. A former hypnotherapist who claimed women would increase their breast sizes with their minds has been elected new leader of the Green Party. The way they talk about people, like, so let's bring up some of the. We could do that story again, but for when the Tories elected Boris Johnson, who famously lied about the 2 abortions that his mistress had in the early 2000s. Maybe you can make that the headline: man who forced woman to have his abortions elected leader of Britain. Yeah. And I will say this, like, I've met Zach Polanski. I've met him, sat down with him. We did a show together on Pubcast. The Three Blokes in the Pub, the successor to Three Blokes in the Pub, because I changed the name because we couldn't always get 3 blokes. In fact, the chat that I had with Zach, we were joined with Naomi from Best for Britain as well. Worth checking out. In fact, I will go so far, because I love you and because you're awesome and because we got the confetti. I will find the link for you so you can, if you want to, you can have a look at my chat where we're talking about green politics and Extinction Rebellion back in, I think this was May of 2019. May. But yeah, here is the link. have a look at this at your peril, at your whim. At your whim. There you go. Zach. I'll put Zach Attack. Zach Attack. There you go. That's what I would have made the headline. Zach Attack. And it's Zach goes on. Zach Goldsmith. Stop calling him Zach Goldsmith. Zach Polanski. I only know one Zach, and it's Zach Gold. Although actually both Zachs, but both went to private school, so there's that. But he seemed like an alright guy. But yeah, you could have Zach Attack. He attacks Nigel Farage for being anti-net zero when he's clearly being paid for by the oil companies. Oh, by the way, yesterday I mentioned that Heathrow was giving money to the Refuck Party. Apparently that's not true. Even though it was reported in the right-wing press about their darlings, apparently Heathrow had gone on the record to say it wasn't true. So I retract that statement. I'm very sorry to Heathrow and all who sail on here, whatever Heathrow is. And then we've got digital ID cards could be issued to all Britons. We've got North Sea has a bright future, but it's not oil and gas, which I agree with. But Ambrose Evans Pritchard, did he go to the local comp? Did he go? Ambrose. His name is fucking Ambrose. Apologies to anyone watching this whose name is Ambrose, but I mean, Jesus Christ, could you sound posher if you possibly fucking tried? He's the international business editor. He's born in Oxford. He attended Malvern College, the public school in Malvern in Worcestershire. Okay, so he's another person to add to the private school mafia list, so I'll do that after the show. We're going to round up in a few minutes. Geldof throws hat in ring to be president. So Bob Geldof is considering joining the race to become the next president of Ireland. That'll be interesting. Give us your fucking money. New Green Party leader, meet former hypnotherapist who was vowed to be left's answer to Farage. The woman filling Anna Wintour's shoes at Vogue. This is Chloe Malley, apparently. She's 75 years old or something. I can't read that. And then new crackdown could force more refugees onto Channel boats. Yvette Cooper's new asylum crackdown may fuel more dangerous Channel crossings as women and children left in war zones attempt to reunite with loved ones in the UK. Which is exactly what I said yesterday. It's almost as though I know what I'm talking about. Some have said. It's been said. So we've got Posh and Pelts, something I don't really know. Take a chance on me. What a booby. This is about the new leader of the Green Party, Zach Polanski. New Green Party leader, Zach Polanski, sorry for giving women breast enlargements by hypnosis. Yeah. I mean, what do you expect? He's a Green. He's going to be a little bit woo, isn't he? Financial Times. But, I mean, look, seriously, all seriousness aside, right? One of the things we on the left need to stop doing is being so precious about what people have done in the past, right? Because the right don't give a fuck about that for their people, right? They give a fuck off for the left. They'll never forgive anyone who did anything bad in the left. You still meet right-wingers right-whingers who still whinge about the fact that Gordon Brown sold off Britain's gold 20 fucking years ago. They're still upset about it. They're still ranting, oh my God, they sold off all our gold, all the things we could have if we still had that gold. Never mind the trillions that we lose every year as a result of us not being a member of the EU anymore. But, that aside, the gold, they'll never forgive, right? But the left never forgive either. They never forget and never forgive. But the right do for their own. They will forgive Boris Johnson all of his fucking peccadillos, even though he was shagging some American blonde on the family sofa while his wife was undergoing treatment for cancer. Okay, they'll forgive that. They'll forgive all the lies. They'll forget that he lied to the Queen. They'll forget that he lied to the party leader. He lied to the editor of the newspapers he worked for. He lied to everyone. He lied about bendy bananas. He lied about tiny condoms. He just lies. Everything out of it. But they forgive him. They forgive him because he's their path to power. And Trump is the same. Trump supporters will forgive him anything. People who have called him Hitler in the past will be happy to be his vice president, right? And I hate to say this, but we on the left need to take a leaf out of that book. We need to stop going on about what stupid shit someone did 15 fucking years ago. Because I'm pretty sure I did some fucking stupid shit 15 years ago. If I went into politics, would that be, suspected people smuggler, Graham Hughes enters politics. It's like, that was something that was a misunderstanding. That was literally 2009. And, we laugh about it now. But, that could be a black mark on my record. And people will still look at that on the left and go, oh, I'm not voting for him. Fucking people smuggler, So no one has an unblemished record. And we do this time and time again. We say, oh, we don't want this Labour person who's a pretty good person as an MP because they were part of Blair's government and they did the Iraq War. I understand the Iraq War was a terrible fucking thing, but that was then. The people who won't vote for the Lib Dems because they went in with the Tories, that was then. The Lib Dems are different now, the different party to what they were then. They don't have Nick Clegg in charge for a start. Jeez, I saw an interview with Nick Clegg and he's a fucking dickhead. That man is a fucking dickhead. He's still being a dickhead now. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't think we should get too hung up on shit that happened years in the past with people who are arguably on our side, right? And with Zach Polanski, I want a populist Green leader. I want one because the Green movement needs a fucking shot in the arm. And he might be it. He might not be it. I don't know. But I'm keeping an open mind on it because it does need a shot in the arm. It needs someone who is a gobby, preferably northern, working class person. But, failing that, we could just have some posh southern person. He's not southern, is he? He's up north, isn't he, Zach? He's from up north originally. But, to have a person who is willing to meet the populists on their level and get people excited about a green revolution, because too many Greens make the mistake of turning up at a party and saying, hello everybody, I want to talk to you about green issues, and you're a terrible person because you own a car, and you're a terrible person because you've been on flights to other countries, and you're a terrible person because you don't recycle enough, and you're a terrible person because you've had children. Have you seen the carbon footprint of a child? It's huge. You're terrible, and you're just making people feel bad. I want someone leading a green movement who makes people feel good about being green, who makes people feel empowered by their greenness, who tells people quite rightly that the future of Britain lies in making our own green power so we have energy self-sufficiency, we achieve energy sovereignty. That's what we should be going for. I'm getting people excited about it. Lower bills. It's going to cost less money. We're going to have more, but we're going to be able to tell other countries to fuck off in a way that we can't at the moment because we are beholden to them for our energy needs. But no one's doing it. No one's stepping up. Zach stepped up. Okay, he tried to hypnotize women into thinking they have bigger boobs, but, whatever. It was a long time ago. And the greater scheme, on the greater scheme of things, you look at that compared with what Trump did. He's a fucking rapist. He bragged about sexually abusing women. You look at what's his name? Boris Johnson, all the shit that he did. And people just forgave him. And Rishi Sunak, he was partying at number 10. He was given a fine for partying during lockdown. And then you got Liz Truss. She's still going on being interviewed. She's still going around doing talks and stuff. I'm not saying we should go that far. If someone does some horrific thing, like they beat up a person or they rape someone or sexually assault them, then no, that's going too far. But daft shit like this, trying to undermine the Greens in this way, it's just pathetic. And we've got to not fall into that trap of going, well, you've not led an entire blameless life. You've not done anything fucking stupid. And you know what? Just between you and me, I am so fucking glad that I did not grow up now. I grew up in the 90s when every fucking mistake that I ever made wasn't put on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube and Twitter for everyone to see for all eternity. So glad. I'm so glad I didn't, because I made so many mistakes, and I did. I fucked up so many times, it's painful. But by and large, those fuck-ups are now lost to the mist of time. They've gone like tears in fucking rain. Good. Because they're fucking embarrassing. I think of them and I cringe years later with embarrassment, but at least, it's gone. It's gone. Kermit is proud of being green. It's not easy. But that's the thing. It is easy being green. It's a lot easier being green than getting our fucking foreign fucking toxic slime from the other side of the planet. It's a lot easier logistically. Captain Coconut, if you make the energy ourselves in our communities and not via private investment, not only would the energy bill go down, but council tax bills too. So as we would sell energy at gas prices. Yeah, true. Very true. It's not easy being cheesy. What's that? What's that about? Starmer is Lobot from Star Wars. Who's controlling him is the real question. I don't think anyone's controlling him, Mel. I just think he's a fucking lemon. Honestly, I think that's his problem. He's just a fucking lemon. He doesn't really know what he's doing. That's why. I think he's got some ideas, but they're not great. What is the Bill Bailey Rwanda thing about mixed messages in the chat? I don't know. Bill Bailey, comedian, privately educated, of course. I don't know. I will. There is no direct link between famous comedian Bill Bailey and Rwanda. Okay. No, can't find anything. Just Googled it. Can't find anything. Right. Oh my God, and the adverts come up. Try and go over to the papers. An advert comes up. Center stage, Kim to meet Xi and Putin. And there's a picture of him there. He's very happy because he's just murdered someone with a rocket launcher, probably. Psycho. And then we've got Reeves, leeway shrinks as pound falls and borrowing costs hits 27-year high. Not great, not great. Hedge fund billionaire Dalio says US is slipping towards 1930s style autocracy. Like, how come when I say that, it doesn't get on the front cover of the fucking newspaper? But then a hedge fund billionaire says it, and it's like, oh, we got to pin this. Yeah, he's right. It is drifting towards a 1930s style autocratic politics. Yeah, absolutely. And that other investors were too scared of the president to speak up. Yep, terrified of him. Terrified of a fucking idiot. Fucking idiot. A fucking amoeba with the power of a nuclear bomb. There's an epic Kermit, Martin. That's an epic Kermit. Giant Kermit. Giant Kermit. Okay, friends, Romans, countrymen. We will, and women, we will be reconvening, lend me your ears, we will be reconvening here at 12 o'clock. So in about just over an hour's time for the first PMQs of the new school term, which I think is at 12. I'm going to double check this before I go because I've done this before when I've got, there's definitely going to be PMQs at 12 o'clock. And then I've looked and there's not been PMQs because, I don't know, they couldn't be asked or something. Got better things to do. So I'm just going to go over to the Parliament channel on the BBC. I'm going to mute, and then we go to BBC Parliament schedule. Let's have a look. 12 o'clock, Prime Minister's questions. So I will be here for, 40 minutes or something at 12 o'clock. I've got loads of stuff to do, my friends, because as some of you know, that's my little case. It's a perfectly sized case that fits in hand luggage. Can't afford fucking check-in luggage, even though someone else is paying for my flight. Thanks, guys. But yeah, I've got me luggage there, ready to go. It's empty. There's nothing in there. just to remind me to pack. I've got to get all my shit together, to go to Canada, and I'll be there for the next week and a half. So please join me in Canada after tomorrow. Morning brew will not be at the normal time. It will be after I have checked in at the airport, at Manchester Airport. So I'll find a little place where I can sit down with my tripod and talk to the camera excitedly about what I'm up to. Graham's deserting us. So I'll be back. Don't worry. I'm going to take you with me. To Canada. We're going to all go to Canada together. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to go to the Toronto International Film Festival. It's going to be a beautiful thing. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun together. I swear it. But yeah, I will be doing Morning Brew tomorrow morning. I can't say it's going to be at 9 o'clock. Though, because it won't be. I'll be walking through Manchester at 9 o'clock from one station to the other. Because you can't get the train from Victoria to Piccadilly for some fucking reason. So I'm going to have to walk it. So there you go. Do we agree with PMQs? Dislike PM Hughes. Yes, indeed. But yes, don't worry. I'm taking you with me to Canada, and hopefully we'll have a marvelous adventure. So if I don't see you for PMQs, I will see you then. And until we meet again, friends, it's been great having you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the comments. Sorry for being a bit old and doddery and not being able to read things very well. Like I say, I've had technical problems this morning. Just blame it on the technical. A bad presenter always blames it on his technical problems. A bad channel blames his tools. They might try and recruit you in Canada. I've seen this film before. It's a bit too close to America for my liking. Fly out of Durham International instead, less traveling. I didn't discover there was a Durham International for a very long time. No one really uses it, I don't think. But yeah, it is a possibility. It is a possibility. Right, thanks everyone for watching. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening. Give a like on the way out. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.